What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Radd89 here, bringing you another video, and I'm very excited for today's Radd movie review. I brought you a very special film. What if I told you there was a film out there with the gorgeous Denise Richards and the handsome and talented Paul Walker, where they play a lovely boyfriend and girlfriend, and Paul Walker, her boyfriend, he plays Michael, who actually gets mauled by a lion, and then they stick his brain inside of an animatronic T-Rex. What does that sound like? That sounds like one of the greatest concepts and most awesome films I've ever heard of in my freaking life. And today we're going to talk about Tammy and the T-Rex from 1994. We're going to hear all my positives, the negatives, and then the rating, and I'm going to send you all home. So stay tuned to this video. Let's do this. Roll it. So Tammy and the T-Rex from 1994, man, this is just a bonkers, wild ride, a science fiction comedy film that actually has a little bit of horror elements in it. So we got a lot of subgenres clashing in here. Do they all work? We're going to talk about it right now. Like I said, get into the positives, because one positive right away is that this is a film that I just harkens back to a time like in the, in the early 90s, even late 80s, when you were able to do wild, crazy concept films with like a good cast and then just go for it. The writers and directors, actors and actresses, everybody just goes for it and has a bonkers wild time, because that's just one of these films for real. Because when you explain the concept of this film, where Denise Richards is a cheerleader and she's dating Paul Walker's character Michael, they're in love, and of course we have a crazy ex-boyfriend in there as well who ends up having problems with Michael and then chases him into, I guess, well, they beat him up, chase him into this area and bring him to a, I want to say like a safari or enclosure type place, because there's tigers and panthers and lions here, and there's real animals in this film too. We got to give it up. We have real animals on set. Paul Walker's character ends up getting mauled by a lion, and then a wild, crazy scientist, I believe his name is Dr. Wachenstein, I believe. Yes, even a little play on Frankenstein. He sticks Paul Walker's character's body, his brain, Michael, into a animatronic T-Rex, and ensues some wild, crazy stuff as we follow the T-Rex trying to, gain his love back and prove that he's Michael inside of there. But we also have some awesome freaking gory kills as well. So it's just one of those crazy concept films. Like I said, you just have to be ready to commit and go for the ride, and I love those kind of films. Also, I think the performances in here, they are campy and silly as fuck, and I love them, like for real. You can tell Paul Walker's easily the most talented, I think, out of all the actors in this film. You can clearly see he has the most talent behind his character, but I think all of them, they just go for a wild ride. Even Helga, who is the partner to the Wachenstein, Dr. Wachenstein, she's like his right-hand woman, and man, she's a crazy sex-fueled foreigner who, helps this wild scientist stick a brain into this T-Rex, and it's just comedy up the ass, and I couldn't stop laughing for real. It's dark comedy, and this also calls back to the time when you can say and almost do anything with comedy in your films. Like nowadays, there's a lot of stuff that you can't get away with, that you can't say in movies, that you were able to do back in the day. And I know some of it, like I said, can be frowned upon because people take it the wrong way, or they think of it like, oh, as an attack on like certain things. But no, this film goes for it. We got jokes aplenty, like dark black comedy jokes aplenty. We got gore, and like the gore is there where it's like the realistic special effects, and I like that. And even the animatronic dinosaur, it's a real dinosaur. And the fun fact about this film is the writer and director of this film, he had a buddy who lived in like South America, I think, and he had a animatronic dinosaur that the arms worked, the head worked, and the body and stuff. And he was like, dude, we can totally make a movie with this dinosaur. And like the writer and director wrote this script in like a week, and then they started filming. So it's just one of those fantastic films where it's just like, oh, you and your buddies just hanging out, and you're like, let's make a wild film with an animatronic T-Rex and see what we can do. And like I said, the campy nature and the dialogue also lends to it being just so comical. And I can understand that this isn't a film that's going to be for everybody, because if you can't take a lot of stuff lightheartedly, like jokes about homosexuals, jokes about death, jokes about, girls and sex. Like if you can't take silly jokes like that or something about that, then this isn't going to be the film for you. Because like I said, they really go all the way. But I like that fact is they treat everyone equally. Everyone in this film is treated equally. And like I said, the subject matter is just so hilarious that you don't really take it serious. But like I said, the actors and actresses are great because they commit to the roles and they know what kind of movie they're in, so they're not trying to make it this serious emotional drama. They do all of it in a campy, a very extreme overacting way, and it fits the tone of this film perfectly. Let's talk about some of the awesome side characters. Like Byron is my favorite, and that's Denise Richards, her character's best friend, and he's a gay man, and he's just amazing, hilarious. That actor knocked it out of the park, and some of my favorite lines in this film are from Byron, his character. He's just so funny, and his father is a police officer, and there's this great scene when they steal a truck, and him and Denise Richards, Byron and Denise Richards, are driving the truck, and they have Michael's character as the T-Rex in the back, and the cops are chasing them, trying to get them to pull over, and Byron's like, "Oh, no, this is my friend, I'm keeping him." Like, just hilarious lines that he drops, and it's so amazing. And like the fact that him and Denise Richards' character are like this, that he believes her right away when she talks about the T-Rex, and when he comes to her about the information on the T-Rex, they just believe each other right away. And that's what I like about this film. There's none of that stupid meandering, oh, let's not believe this crap. Like, no, everybody knows what kind of movie they're in, and they're just having the time of their lives. Now let's get on to the mixed and negatives, because there are a few mixed and negatives. Things like, this isn't, of course, a perfect film. It's just a film that I had a fucking fantastic time with. And one mixed and negative really quick is that the gore, I definitely love the gore and that it's realistic practical effects, but I don't think the horror meets the science fiction and comedy. There's a very heavy science fiction theme in here. Like, I'm talking, you know, brains out of heads, and then you sticking wires into the brain and making it move and connecting it to the T-Rex, like very much Frankenstein type science fiction stuff. But also we got a lot of, like I said, dark black type comedy in here as well. So those two marry each other well. But the horror elements, I wish there was a little bit more horror in the film, and it probably would have been an even higher rating for me for sure. Also are some elements in terms of special effects that don't age well. Like the animatronic dinosaur is completely real, and the stuff they do with him, but when they do like big far away shots where they have kind of like that stop motion animation and the screen and then real actors right here, there's a few moments where it doesn't age that well. But if you're huge into nostalgia and you love 90s special effects, it's definitely going to take you back to a time when you're like, oh, I remember that as a kid. Another thing too for me is that I think this film, it's hilarious, and I love the third act where we end. The final scene, the final sequence is hilarious, like the last 5 minutes, but getting to that last 5 minutes, that third act, I think we kind of fumble it a little bit. So there's just a chunk in the third act, I would say, right before the last 5 minutes of the movie, like a good 10 minutes, where I just kind of feel like, oh, where are we going? What are we doing? It's like, you know what I mean? But again, you got to take into account that this is a script that was written in a week, and I think they filmed this movie in like a month. So you got to take that into account too, is that this is a very bare bones minimum kind of character development type story. It's much more kind of a moment in time, a very silly, bombastic film that you just have to commit to the concept and enjoy the ride. But overall, for a rating in my book on Tammy and the T-Rex, this is going to get a strong 8 out of 10 in my book, and it's mainly because it's such a glorious cast. And besides Denise Richards and Paul Walker, there's a whole host of people that you're going to recognize. Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite is in here. We also have Roach from People Under the Stairs. That actor, he's in here as well. So there's just a fantastic cast all around. So when you're watching the film, you're going to be like, oh my God, look who that is. And look who that is. So that's fun. Like I said, the concept is totally freaking crazy and original. And I love it. I love the fact that it's this wild ass idea, the campy nature of the overacting from all the actors and the cast. Fantastic. So that's why it gets this really solid, strong 8 out of 10 for me in my book. Thanks for sticking around with me all for this video of chatting about Tammy and the T-Rex, and I urge all of you to check this out. Like I said, an 8 out of 10 is a very strong recommend from me. This is currently streaming on Tubi for free, so there's no excuse. What are you doing? Go out, freaking watch this movie, because like I said, it's hilarious. It's one of those films that I can't believe it took me this long to check it out, and it's one that I'm so glad that it exists, because I'm going to be returning to this film quite often. And like I said, be sure to let me know in the comment section what you think of this film. And if you have any thoughts on it, I would love to hear from you. But most importantly, I want y'all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.